Double check, make sure that we are live. Sometimes it doesn't like to put us on live for whatever reason. I'm just going to safely assume that we are live, and we are. Hello and welcome to This Date in History, also known as TDH. This show is all about the events that occurred to date in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things that we personally find intriguing enough for us to bring to you. The sources of this information come from the smart device application Today in History, What Happened Today in History, historical calendar, and the website onthisday.com. For links to those sources, the music, and anything else potentially interesting, check the box below. Anyway, I am A.O. Xander. My co-host Lunk is currently doing something right now, but he should be able to join us here hopefully sooner rather than later. Anyway, today is Wednesday, also known as Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022. Starting us off in the year 1400, the Tran dynasty of Vietnam was deposed after 175 years of rule by Ho Quay Lee, a court official. Alright. 140 years later, in 1540, Waltham Abbey was surrendered to King Henry VIII of England, the last religious community to be closed during the dissolution of the monasteries. Or dissolution. What was the dissolution of the monasteries? Let me look that up real quick. I hope the music's not too loud. There we go. The dissolution of the monasteries, occasionally referred to as the suppression of the monasteries, was the set of administrative and legal processes between 1536 and 1541 by which Henry VIII disbanded... what did he disband? Monasteries, priories, covenants, and friaries in England, Wales, and Ireland, expropriated their income, deposed of their assets, and provided for their former personal and functions. So, interesting. This was a huge old kick in the teeth towards monasteries. I'm going to add this to the underbar real quick. Before I do, I'm going to tell you about here in 1568, the Peace of Longjumeau was signed, ending the second phase of the French Wars of Religion. Right, more religious stuff. There's always religious stuff throughout all history, but it's surprising how much there were. Jumping up into 1775, during the American Revolutionary War, Patrick Henry delivered his speech, quote, "Give me liberty or give me death," end quote, at St. John's Episcopal Church in Richmond, Virginia. Well, I wonder, what happened to the population these days? Where's that attitude? And then again, when you think about it, that was delivered at a church, and what's one of the main things that's under attack politically in these days? Wonder why. Wonder if maybe they're trying to get rid of anything that we can hold near and dear. Oh well. Anyway, moving on up to 1801, Tsar Paul I of Russia was struck with a sword, then strangled, and finally trampled to death inside his bedroom at St. Michael's Castle. That is horrifying. That's a crappy way to go, I tell you. 5 years later, in 1806, after traveling through the Louisiana Purchase and reaching the Pacific Ocean, explorers Lewis and Clark and their Corps of Discovery began their arduous journey home. That's right, they had to come back, Hard enough going all the way that way, trekking the whole thing, exploring, cataloging, and there were more, like underhanded things involved with the adventures of Lewis and Clark. They were actually scouting for military settlements and forts and everything to further expand. Keep in mind this was during the Manifest Destiny era, so... Jumping up into 1821, during the Greek War of Independence, the battle and fall of the city of Kalamata occurred. Jumping on up into 1839, a massive earthquake destroyed the former capital Inwa of the Konbaung dynasty, which is present-day Myanmar. 9 years later, in 1848, the ship John Wilcoff arrived at Port Chalmers carrying the first Scottish settlers for Dunedin, New Zealand. Otago province was also founded at that moment. Interesting. In 1862, during the American Civil War, the First Battle of Kernstown, Virginia, marks the start of Stonewall Jackson's Valley Campaign, Although a Confederate defeat, the engagement distracted Federal efforts to capture Richmond, which was the capital of Virginia, which still is, I believe. Yeah, and then sometime later, Stonewall Jackson got shot by friendly fire and then died like 3 days later due to the complications. 1868, the University of California was founded in Oakland, California, when the Organic Act was signed into law. Oh, what a Californian-sounding thing. What was it? The United States law on organic acts, or in United States law, an organic act is an act of the United States Congress that establishes a territory of the United States and specifies how it is to be governed, or an agency to manage certain federal lands. In the absence of an organic law, a territory is classified as unorganized. Well, that's interesting. And I hear a Sohin. At least the background.
Hello.
There you are. Welcome. We are in 1879.
Okay. 1879, the War of the Pacific, the Battle of Topater. The first battle of the war is fought between Chile and the joint forces of Bolivia and Peru.
Interesting. 6 years later, in 1885, during the Sino-French War, Chinese victory in the Battle of Phu Lam occurred, Phu Lam Tao, near Hung Hua in northern Vietnam. Yeah.
1901, Emilio Echagrin Cordero, only president of the First Philippine Republic, is captured at Palana, Isabel, by the forces of General Francis Funston.
Interesting. The only president of the First Philippine Republic. So it sounds like it fell. That's not good.
Yeah.
4 years later, in 1905, Eleftherios Venizelos called for Crete's union with Greece and began what is known as the Therisho Revolt. So, yeah, like Crete, the island of Crete. Who governs Crete right now? Let me look that up. Come on. Who governs Crete? Let's see here. Greece. Okay, so it looks like he won his revolution. Interesting. 1909, we have Theodore Roosevelt left New York for a post-presidency safari in Africa. The trip was sponsored by the Smithsonian Institution and National Geographic Society. Well, hoity-toity, liggity-la. Look at this guy with his je ne sais quoi. I don't know.
Yes.
What happened in 1913?
In 1913, a tornado outbreak kills more than 240 people in the central United States, while an ongoing flood in the Ohio River watershed was killing 650 people.
Dang, dude. That's intense.
That's not a terrible tornado, but a flood as well.
Yeah, like that's a lot like what happened to China, what, a year ago, when they had they had droughts, floods, famines, you know. It's just like,
only thing you're missing is fucking pestilence.
well, yeah.
And you'll have a fucking plague.
I think they do have some pestilence. So,
No, they had to make that shit up themselves.
well, I mean, what is the Kung Flu? You know?
Yeah, they had to make it up themselves. But, sir, we had disasters and other stuff. We should just might as well fucking just go full-blown play Bible. Just do it like that.
Yeah, I know. It's start remaking biblical times. The Bible too. Electric Boogaloo. Moving on up into 1918, during the First World War, on the third day of the German Spring Offensive, the 10th Battalion of the Royal West Kent Regiment was annihilated, with many of the men becoming prisoners of war. Ooh, that does not sound good.
Prisoners of war are never good. It's horrible.
No, they were annihilated. The 10th Battalion was eliminated from the playing field. That's not good.
No.
1919, in Milan, Italy, Benito Mussolini founded his fascist political movements. Here we go. Didn't take long.
Yep. No, not with him.
No. What happened in 1931?
In 1931, Bhagat Singh Shivaram Ranguru and Sokendev Tarpar are hanged for the killing of a deputy superintendent of the police during the Indian independence movement.
Oh, dang, dude. Like, violence, it's not never the answer, but it's very much like nuclear. It's the last-ditch effort, Like, if you... that's... 2 years later, in 1933, the Reichstag passes the Enabling Act of 1933, making Adolf Hitler dictator of Germany. Oh, God. So on the same day, that's kind of weird, as Mussolini, And both are divisible by, well, not entirely, but at least the last number is divisible by 3. So... Moving up into 1939, the Hungarian Air Force attacked the headquarters of the Slovak Air Force in Spišská Nová Ves, killing 13 people and beginning the Slovak-Hungarian War. Yeah.
Also, 1940, the Lahore Resolution, the Quardai-e-Pakistan, or Quardai-e-Lahore, is put forward at the annual General Convention of the All India Muslim League.
Why do you have to sound so not safe for work? Anyway, in 1956, Pakistan became the first Islamic republic in the world. This date is now celebrated as Republic Day in Pakistan. Interesting. It's pretty cool.
Also, 1965, NASA launches Gemini 3, the United States' first two-man space flight crew, Gus Grissom and John Young.
Cool, dude. And eventually we'd be sending 3 people, and then 5, and then 7, and all that jazz. Let's see here. That's 12 years later, 1977. The first of the Nixon interviews, in which 12 will be recorded over 4 weeks, was videotaped with British journalist David Frost interviewing former United States President Richard Nixon about the Watergate scandal and the Nixon tapes. Moving on up into 1970. Go.
Also in 1978, the first UNIFIL troops arrived in Lebanon for a peacekeeping mission along the Blue Line. That is for United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon. Wow.
All right. Well, interesting. 2 years later, in 1980, Archbishop Oscar Romero of El Salvador gave his famous speech appealing to men of the El Salvadorian Armed Forces to stop killing the Salvadorians. Well, that's a no-brainer. Stop killing people, Shouldn't be that difficult. It costs $0 to not kill somebody. It's free. It actually costs money to kill somebody. So. What happened in 1982?
1982, Guatemala's government, headed by Fernando Romero Lucas Garcia, is overthrown in a military coup by right-wing General Efrain Rios Montt.
Another coup d'etat, another day, another government overthrown. 365 days later, or a year, in 1983, Strategic Defense Initiative, President Ronald Reagan made his initial proposal to develop technology to intercept enemy missiles. Well, that's good, but we need to bolster that now with these supersonic nuclear warheads and such. Travel faster than our radars, our radio detection and range can pick them up, and we can get hit without even knowing. That's terrifying. 1988, Angolan and Cuban forces defeated South Africa in the Battle of Quito Cuernaval. You there, Lunk?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you in the middle of something?
Nope.
Okay. What happened in 1991?
1991, the Revolutionary United Front. Sound like the RUF? Yeah, it's the RUF.
Yep.
With support from the Special Forces of Charles Taylor, National Patriotic Front of Liberia, invade Sierra Leone in a attempt to overthrow Joseph Sadu Monhope, sparking the 11-year Sierra Leone Civil War.
Man, that's a long war. Man, what's
Yeah.
with like long wars, man? There seems to be like as time goes by, wars last longer. Everything else gets faster except for war. This just prolongs. 3 years later, in 1994, Aeroflot Flight 593 crashed into the Kuzistik-Alatu mountain, Kemerovo Oblast in Russia, killing 75. Another day, another plane crash. Also in 1994, at an election rally in Tijuana, Mexican presidential candidate Luis Donaldo Colosio was assassinated by Mario Alberto Martinez. Well, that's just rude.
Also in 1996, Taiwan hosts its first direct elections and chooses Lee Teng-hu as president.
Nice. Very nice. And you know, I'm not gonna poke the bear. I'm not gonna say what I want to say, but
Poke the bear. Do it.
Taiwan is a country. Moving on up
Oh,
to
that's not
2001.
poking the bear. That's just stating a fact.
Well, you know, facts, you know, are frowned upon in a Google-run society, unfortunately. Anyway, jumping on up to 2001, the Russian Mir space station was disposed of, breaking up in the atmosphere before falling into the southern Pacific Ocean near Fiji. Another station bites the dust. The ISS is on its way to do that here pretty soon too. Hopefully without the stranded astronaut inside. So.
Also, 2003, Battle of Nasiriyah. First major conflict during the invasion of Iraq.
Operation Enduring Freedom. Yep. 5 years later, in 2008, the official opening of Rajiv Gandhi International Airport in Hyderabad, India, occurred. Cool. Airports.
Also, in 2009, FedEx Express Flight 80 and McDonnell Douglas MD-11 flying from Guangzhou, China, crashes at Tokyo, Nigeria International Airport, killing both the captain and the co-pilot.
That's terrible. At least it's only two, you know. I mean, two is too many, but hey, five is five too many. So, 1 year later, in 2010, the Affordable Care Act became law in the United States. Oh God, it's Obamacare, rearing its ugly old head again. 8 years later, in 2018, President of Peru, Pedro Pablo Kuczynski, resigned from the presidency amid a mass corruption scandal before certain impeachment by the opposition majority Congress of Peru. I ran out of air.
Yeah. Also in 2009, 2019, the Texas capital of Pakistan was renamed to Nur Sultan.
Interesting. Why don't you take this next 2019? I've taken quite a few doubles.
Also, in 2019, the U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces captured the town of Baghouz in eastern Syria, declaring military victory over the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant after 4 years of fighting, although the group maintains a scattered presence and sleeper cells across Syria and Iraq.
Can't get rid of everything. 1 year later, in 2020, which was 2 years ago, Prime Minister Boris Johnson put the United Kingdom into its first national lockdown in response to the Kung flu. And he just recently lifted that after he got caught not wearing a mask as per his mandate dictated. And he's getting away with it. So, just tired of people eating up BS. It's like, oh, he's giving us back our mask freedoms. Yeah, after he took them away and didn't follow it himself. Kick his ass out of that chair. You know? Anyway, why don't you take this last article here?
Yes, 2021. A container ship runs aground and obstructs the Suez Canal for 6 days.
I remember this. Yeah, that's when that ship was like all wow, and then got jammed up in the Suez Canal. Yeah, that did not help things at all. Isn't that the same time we had a toilet paper shortage, or was that after it? Because I remember things just kept happening. Yeah. All I know is, like, I remember buying toilet paper from a Greek restaurant and sending it by mail to some family out in Arizona. The world has been weird the past couple of years. Oh my god. Anyway, before we get into births and deaths, do you have any articles that piqued your interest today?
Not really.
There's a couple that I've forgotten about, unfortunately. Oh yeah, the Mir space station, that's interesting. Oh yeah, that's right. But Mussolini's start of fascism in 1919, and then Hitler becoming dictator of Germany in 1933. On the same dates. That's interesting. Anyway, going on to the births, why don't you start us off today?
Sure. In 1338, Emperor Go-Kogen.
What was he?
Go-Kogen. Emperor of Japan. This is stuck in my head. Go-Kogen.
Go-Kogen.
I'm thinking of Hulk Hogan.
I know. I was thinking too.
Let me tell you something. Senpai. I'm nothing. 21 Dragon.
Let me tell you something, Senpai. Oh my god. 1514. Let me tell you something, Shogun. What you
gonna do with these 21-inch?
I can't do a good Hulk Hogan wrestling Japanese samurai impersonation. I'm just not that.
I know.
I'm not cut out for that. Maybe with some practice. Anyway, in 1514, Lorenzo de Medici was born on this date. He was an Italian writer and assassin. That's some, that's odd job combination to have, but okay.
That makes him say he wrote novels, and then they're realizing, dude, this is crime scenes.
Well, no, because the pen is mightier than the sword, so he just stabbed people in the neck with a feather.
No, this man had a penknife.
1643, Mary of Jesus de Leon Delgado, Spanish Dominican lay sister and mystic.
Bam. Also, 1751, Jerry Vega, Slovenian mathematician, physicist, and artillery officer.
Now that seemed like an interesting combination, but when you think about it, math and physics, that is artillery. Range finding, wind, arc. Like you put in, it's a lot of. It takes a lot of thinking power to accurately lob a rock into an enemy location. Yeah, if you want to be, you want to be accurate. 1864, Nathaniel Reed, an American criminal, and I want to know what he did. Let me look him up real quick. Nathaniel Reed, criminal. He was an outlaw. Why does this look so familiar? Other names, Texas Jack Reed. He kind of looks like Wild Bill. He has that mustache, long hair look, a little bit. Wild Bill Hickok. Oh. Oh yeah, he was a train robber in the Indian Territory during the 1880s and 1890s. Intriguing. 1893. Do you want this one?
Sure. 1983. Girls called Swami Dora Swami Nardu, Indian engineer and businessman.
Yeah, why don't you take the next one too?
Also, in 1904, Joan Crawford, she's an actress.
Yeah, that, like, the name was familiar. Like, I think I might have heard it somewhere. None of these films look anything familiar, but yeah. Anyway, 1912, Werner Von Braun, Nazi German U.S. physicist and engineer, right? Like, he was brought over here during Operation Paperclip, or was that somebody else?
I think that's something. I don't know.
Werner Von Braun. Like, isn't that the rocket scientist guy?
Yeah, I think that's him.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, he was a Nazi rocket engineer because he worked on the V2, you know, and then he was the brainchild behind the Saturn V rocket that eventually took us to the moon. Born in 1912. Dang. Why don't you take these next two? Actually, the next three.
Sure. Oh shit! Yes. Wait, what's the year?
1924. All three of them.
Okay. 1924. Betty Nesmith Graham, inventor of liquid paper. Ooh.
I did
That's
not.
it. You used the right.
Is that whiteout?
That's white out.
Okay.
Also, 1924. Olga Kennard, English crystallographer and academic.
Crystallography, let's see. X-ray crystallography is the experimental science determining the atomic and molecular structure of a crystal, in which the crystalline structure causes a beam beam of incident X-rays to diffract into many specific directions. This is above me. Wow. I'm going to put this into the underbar for anyone who's interested in crystallography.
In 1924, it's John Madden, English architect.
Yeah, not the same John Madden as the football guy who sadly passed away recently. 1937, Tony Burton, a U.S. actor, comedian, boxer, and football player. That is an interesting resume there.
Mm-hmm. Also, in 1951, Adrian Raynard, English businessman who founded Raynard Motorsports.
1957, Amanda Plummer, a U.S. actress, and that name sounds like a Simpsons Most Tavern phone prank call. So, I'm looking for Amanda Plummer. Amanda what?
No, Amanda Hug and Kiss.
Yeah. Why don't you take this last birth here?
In 1965, Gary Whitehead, U.S. poet and painter.
And it sounds like a real pimply person to me. I have very bad jokes. I'm not even sure if my dad would appreciate that one. Moving on into deaths, I'll start us off in the year 851. We have Zhao Shi died on this date. He was a Chinese historian and politician.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Also in 1361, Henry of Goldsmont, first Duke of Lancaster, English politician who was a High Lord Steward of England.
1618, we have James Hamilton, first Earl of Abercorn, a Scottish police officer and politician.
1629, we have Francis Fane, first Earl of Westmoreland, English landowner and politician.
1792, we have Louis Antônio Verne, Portuguese philosopher and pedagogue. And what is a pedagogue? Let me look it up real quick.
Pedagogue.
Pedagogue is a teacher, especially a strict or pedantic one. I think we've looked this up before because that definition sounds familiar. I'm almost sure of it.
1862 Manuel Robles Penzia, unconstitutional Mexican interim president from 1858 to 1859.
Unconstitutional, uh-oh. 1965, that's one heck of a jump, 103 years right there. Mae Murray was a U.S. actress, dancer, producer, and screenwriter.
Also, 1986, Moshe Pinstein, U.S. Orthodox rabbi and posek. What's a posek?
Posek
It's
is...
a Polish poser.
A posek is a term in Jewish law for a decisor, which is a legal scholar who determines the position of halakha. The Jewish religious laws derive from the written and oral Torah in cases of Jewish law where previous authorities are inconclusive, or in those situations where no clear halakha precedent exists. For anyone interested, I will add this to the underbar. Why can't I? Let me open. There we go. Stupid link not working. 2006, we have Desmond Doss, U.S. soldier. Was that the medic?
It is him.
Okay.
That's him.
Thought the name sounded familiar. From Hacksaw Ridge, yeah.
That's him.
Rest in peace, Mr. Doss.
One of the few contrary ejectors to actually when they to receive the Medal of Honor.
There's been more of them?
I think so.
Let me look that up really quick. How many conscientious objectors received the Medal of Honor? I know I spelt that wrong. There have been 3 conscientious objectors who were awarded the Medal of Honor. Interesting. So he's one of 3. That's remarkable. In 2013, we have Joe Wader, a Canadian-U.S. bodybuilder and publisher who co-founded the International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness.
Also, 2014, Adolfo Suarez, Spanish lawyer and politician who was the first Prime Minister of Spain.
And 1 year later, last but not least, we have Lee Kuan Yew, died 7 years ago in 2015. 7 years, correct? Yeah. A Singaporean lawyer and politician who was the first Prime Minister of Singapore. And...
You Lee Kuan who?
Lee Kuan Yew!
You leak on who? What? You shouldn't be leaking on people.
Damn. The man is dead. Poor. We have no chill. Anyway, that concludes the show. Once again, check the underbar for any links that you may be interested in, which also concludes...
Showing TV on Twitch.
And everything Omni Coalition. For your dose of passive events every day, we stream about 3 o'clock p.m. on Pacific Time.
5 p.m. Central.
Yep. And until you see us tomorrow, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles!